Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Morning, everybody. Call meeting to order. We do have a quorum. I take a motion to approve the agenda in the minutes. Motion or second? I'll second it. All in favor, aye. Opposed? Curious, Rich?
All right, well, I didn't get the final cost. I got this final figure voucher for that midterm project. It was that we had. I was over Elk Creek, had some piling repair, and we had that center line joint. It was one of those quad or that wasn't a quad T bridge, it was channel beam bridges that had some gaps, and we had it repaired a couple years ago, and we're trying to close the project out. Cole's supposed to give me the final pay, the number, but I don't have it with me, so. He had to make a change, we just need to have the final one approved for close out of the project. Everything's probably been paid for. That one's got like an $18 adjustment on it. But for the most part, everything, the project is checked out, so.
You need a motion to approve the final pay for the bridge project?
Yes.
I'll make that a motion.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All right, any questions or discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
The next thing is DOT programming budget, and this is just kind of a. Everything is always subject to change, but it's kind of just a nightmare to. Did I give you guys your FM? Okay, you got double-sided one, right? I got, you both have double-sided ones of these.
No.
You have a single side?
Singles.
All right, so which one does yours say? FM or HBP on top?
Mine's up,
So you need an HBP. And you need a FM. And you've got a double-sided one?
Yep.
HBP FM, why don't I trade that? So we get one. All right, I think I printed them double-sided and then I'm gonna give you some, so. That sheet is a summary of our projected FM funding and then bridge funding. And it's really a spreadsheet that I've been using for years to try to figure out where we are. If you look at the FM sheet, we have a 3-year borrow ahead requirement or restriction by the DOT. We can save up to 5 years worth of funding, which hasn't happened ever. So what we've got planned now, the green line on there shows at the time what our estimated roughly, it's not exactly the same as the DOT had, it's within, you know, hundreds of dollars based on how they calculate our income versus what I have documented. So right now I have the Dogwood Avenue overlay with the bridge project in there, and it looks like it shows there, but actually it's probably going to be let in May or June. So it shows us we're already 1.7 years borrowed ahead in FM. And then as you go down, the yellow highlights are projects that we planned on doing, like Thrush Avenue. That's going to be the 2-mile stretch from Highway 9 south to the county line on the Plymouth Road there. That one, and then there's another bridge project. If you look at the HBP sheet, you can kind of see how they're kind of lining up with bridge. When it says with bridge, it means because some of the bridge money comes out of the farm to market until it gets reimbursed through the bridge fund. So I kind of keep track of where that balance borrows ahead. In fiscal 26, you'll see that I had planned on doing 410th Street, but in order to do our fiscal 2017 project without borrowing too far ahead into 3 years, I can't do that project unless we find other funding other than FM, because so this whole thing is just a, you know, I look at it, here's what we're planning to do in fiscal 24, here's what we've got going for fiscal 25, and beyond that, everything is just a shell game, trying to shuffle money around and figure out. And it's the same way with the HVP projections too, with bridges. You can see I only got things programmed to fiscal 27, because we only have a 4.5 year borrow ahead. So beyond that, it's like, I don't know that I can really program much until we start building the funds back up. So we've got some bridges programmed, one per year. And then fiscal 26, we might have 2 of them programmed, but it's just kind of a gloomy outlook for where the projections are for funding. And yet we still have a need for a lot more repairs. I haven't gotten the most recent bridge report back yet because we're still waiting for fire stations to give us the weights of their fire trucks, because we've got to now evaluate all of our bridges for emergency vehicles, fire trucks. So until we get all that done, I don't know if I'll get all, so that means potentially more bridge postings because of that.
Which could be, you got ours.
I got Manly's, and then I contacted, there's a sergeant with the Iowa State Patrol that helps do that, and I've contacted him. I didn't schedule anything, and then I got to the point where I needed to kind of, I haven't heard back from him yet, but I think what they'll do is they'll go out for nothing and weigh some trucks and stuff like that, but
They're not as heavy as everybody thinks.
it's not the weight so much, but they don't have standard wheelbases, so then they got to evaluate for those narrower, shorter wheelbases and things like that.
Yeah.
They might not be heavy, but if the wheelbases are shorter, then they concentrate the load more on some of the bridges. They got to evaluate for all that. So I get that part, but it's just something they're requiring us to do now. So that's the projections of the money. It's ugly, but we're doing what we can with that type of funding. So we'll just keep trudging ahead, trying to knock off this local TIF thing too. Those bridges don't show up on this sheet because this is what our state funding is, farm to market and bridge. And so when we get to the secondary roads programming budget, that's these other sheets that are printed out. The program is probably more of an interest as to what we've got going on. And I only look really at, this is the 5-year program, but you kind of only look at what we're doing next year, because the way funding is and the way everything falls apart, everything changes from year to year. But right now we're planning on in fiscal 25. Park Avenue is that's that south stretch of the Plymouth Road. And then we've got a series of bridges, and some of them are showing, like, if you're looking at anything with an L on it is local money, and that's the stuff we're trying to knock out with that TIF money we got last year. So what I'm gonna do is I'm talking to the consultant at the end of the week. We've got some of these local ones closed, and some of the other ones, there's some other ones that are, we can use our state money for. I'm gonna get with the consultant and try to do a bulk bridge letting for the local stuff, and just maybe we get one contractor to do either their pipe culverts or box culverts, whatever they are. Some of them might have to be little short span bridges, but at any rate, that's the plan, is to try to throw all those into a lump sum project. Maybe some contractor is gonna lick their chops and say, we've got 6 or 7 bridges to do in Worth County. We can be here all summer and knock things out and not to travel. So that's the goal. And then you start, this one's hard to look at as far as future, fiscal 26, fiscal 27 stuff, but we've got, I did program the 410th Street overlay in case we find money, but right now it's not looking like we can do it if we want to meet our obligations for the STP project, which we, like I mentioned last week, we're gonna use 1.5 million in federal money. And so we need to have our match money for fiscal 27, so we can't do anything before then unless something changes. So, and that all depends too on how other projects are led. If what I estimate the projects are higher than normal, that kind of gives us a little bit more cushion, but we'll just see how it goes. So if you really want to see what's going on, maybe on the program, grab the map. And the map kind of tells you what fiscal year and what locations we're looking at doing. The green is fiscal 25. And what this map doesn't show is some of the stuff in fiscal 24 we haven't gotten designed for yet. So the green ones are what we plan on doing in fiscal 25, and then 26 is blue, and 27 is more of a darker blue, if you want to call it purple, I don't know. And then 28 is yellow, and then I don't even think there's one project in fiscal 29, 2 projects in fiscal 29, but that all depends if the money's still there. it kind of, to look that far out with our funding, it's kind of just doom and gloom. So. The biggest thing I think we'll take away from this is, yeah, we've got a lot of roads, but we've got a lot of bridges too, and when I get that bridge report back. That'll change things for next budget season too. But the stuff we have closed right now. Getting it through design, like I said, last time we've had this happen before where. You don't plan, I mean, I think any one of those structures was kind of, okay, well, we can get 2 to 3 years out of it and they go do an inspection and. Once it's closed, now you gotta go through the planning process and the design process and the letting process. If we do local. That stuff happens a little bit faster, but we still have. DNR and historic bridge stuff to have to review, and that stuff is somebody else's timeline, so. Some of that stuff can sit for months in their office until because they're trying to redo, there used to be like a blanket historical review. And that expired last year. And in the meantime, for the next 2 years, while they come up with a new program to speed up the process of evaluating historic bridges, we gotta do the manual or the slow process. So hopefully they get that figured out sooner rather than later, but that slows everything down, so. In one way, it really stinks that we've got bridges closed. I know that. We're in a lot better shape than other counties, because there's a lot of other counties that have more than. Some of them have dozens of bridges closed and we don't. And the fortunate thing for us too is that there's typically a mile. Detour. It doesn't make very many people happy, but it's better than having 5 mile detours or anything like that, so. I mean, nobody likes to hear that, but I don't, it takes time to design, it takes time to build. Some of these might be quick projects, but until we get a design done, we don't know what we can put into some of these spots, so. That's the program, and then the budget, that other worksheet here is kind of just a reflection of. The biggest thing in the budget is, what we do for construction and everything else is just kind of a guesstimate on what we think we're gonna spend each year. Now, we did. Save quite a bit of money this year. We didn't run a whole lot of diesel through our trucks because we didn't do a lot of plowing, but we did spend more money on brush cutting, and so there's gonna be a balance in there. We're gonna save some money. We're gonna order less. I think we. For fiscal 24, I think we ordered 800 tons of salt. We've got a full shed of salt to start next year already. So just to keep in check, I mean, I think. We'd have to have a really bad winter to drain that salt shed, but I did order 400 tons for next year, just. To kind of be safe and kind of keep in the loop of what's going on with the DOT letting, so. What we're looking at, is. A total budget expenditure of 6.4 million. With a projected $286,000 carryover. But I feel that's $286,000 is gonna be a lot higher than that. We carried over. 3 million in 23, it's projected to carry over 1.3 million. From 24 to 25, but I think that's gonna be higher yet, because that didn't include the tip revenues that were put in last year for that carryover, so that money is gonna be in there. For this other work that we wanna do, so. I'm not scared about the $286,000 carryover, and it all depends on whether we can get all the work done in that fiscal year too, of being spent, but. What you'll maybe see is in our construction. I've got 1.5 million, and that some of that is that TIF money for those short span bridges, and some of it's other, well, it's all local money. But some of it is coming out of the regular local budget and not the TIF. But most of it's gonna be TIF. So I just needed to have some of those other bridges added to this year because that stuff popped up. From the last bridge inspection. Like I said, while I didn't have the bridge inspection back, when there's a closing, they call me right away, so. But there's gonna be some reports this year that might say, look, in the next 5 years, you gotta look at. Replacing this one or repairing this one, so that changes things in the future. It's almost easier to look at the next 3 years out, but when you start looking at 5 years out, it's difficult. To budget, with the money we receive from farm to market and bridges. And like was mentioned earlier, I think maybe before the meeting, we. Chatted about how we get our money, our bridge money is based on. Deteriorated or deficient surface area of bridges. The more we fix, then if we fix more bridges and no other ones come in. With the deficiencies, then our funding gets smaller. It's just kind of and I get that, but sooner or later you can't build up. I mean, if you've got all your bridges fixed, you still gotta build up a fund.
They almost want them to go.
Well,
completely bad before they'll.
and
help
we,
anything, and
we try to submit grants when we can for stuff that qualifies. Like I mentioned last week to Mitchell County, you know, we were submitting for rural grants and raised grants for bridges. And we thought we all had pretty good projects, because rural to me means rural Iowa. Well, when the federal government gave us or awarded the projects, they weren't my definition of rural. They were urban cities in rural states. But, you know, they started adding, well, what is your cost benefit analysis? You know, it's got to meet a certain criteria. Well, out here, or what are your, you know, tell us how you're going to reduce carbon. Well, out here, we don't have stoplights where people rest for 5 minutes at a light. So when we go straight through, we go straight through. And if we have to detour, I don't think the carbon is, you know, they're putting restrictions on things that make it really difficult for rural, my definition of rural, to even compete.
Yeah.
Now, we did get a raised bridge in Mitchell County, and that was great, but there are more big bridges like that all over the state. So it's doom and gloom, but this is just a projection of what I think we need to do for the next 5 years. And so for me, I look at it and and I say it every year, it's a fluid document. It changes. It's a good blueprint of how we want to do things, but there'll be change orders, you know, there'll be modifications to this. But it just gives us a target for the following year. So.
All right, you guys, any questions, comments?
It's hard to digest it all and look at it.
Yes, we need a motion to approve the secondary roads fiscal year 25 DOT budget and 5-year construction program.
You want to sign these, AJ, I can give them to Jack, she can sign them, and I'll just file them in my office.
Welcome by Mark.
I'll second it.
Yeah, any other discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor, aye? Aye, opposed? All right. But it is approved. I guess I made some too.
Yeah, I thought those are the ones we were supposed to.
It doesn't matter, I just had a, whatever you want to sign, you can think. I don't know if I sent you the preview or.
No, that's what you handed me this one.
Oh, yeah, no, it,
Are
I
they the
just-
same?
they're all, I just wanted to make sure everybody had a copy, and then I can. If I've got it on the computer, I can just take the signed copy back. Really don't have much else to. Inform me on today. You guys got any questions or?
Anything else?
Not right now.
All right.
Thank you, Rich.
You.
Drainage. Val, nothing?
That's what?
It's good.
I'll interject that final cost for that midterm project was $217,140.85. Project.
Claims. Motion to approve claims.
I'll make a motion to approve the claim. Also,
All right, any discussion or comments on them? Hearing none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Reports.
motion to approve the report.
There's motion to approve the reports. There's a second.
I'll second
There's a second. They are from the sheriff. Two reports from the sheriff, one from the. All right. Comments or questions? Not all in favor, aye?
it.
Aye. Opposed? Approved. Okay, payroll eligibility or salary changes.
Here, that's on.
Oh, shoot, sorry.
That's a good. That was tricky.
All right, cigarette license for come and go.
I'll second it.
All right, next discussion.
Oh, there's nowhere for you to sign
Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Newer management plan?
it. No, it was last week.
All right, we have a resolution for the destruction of noxious weeds. For the 2024 crop year. So annual resolution, is there a motion to approve resolution 2024-13?
I'll make that a motion.
Okay, there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Lober,
Aye.
maybe.
Aye.
Stone, aye. Noxious weeds resolution is adopted.
Favorite one of the whole year.
Now we have another resolution, 2024-14. Authorize the chairperson to enter into a contract with a lease with Brian Nelson. On the property proposal for sale. So, just gonna read that one. All right. Whereby the Worth County Board of Supervisors have previously entered into a hay lease with Brian Nelson that currently runs through March 1st, 2025. If not canceled or terminated, the Board of Supervisors are considering selling part of the land subject to the existing lease. And in the event the land is sold, Worth County and Brian Nelson have negotiated and agreed to amend contract that will amend or terminate the existing hay lease and compensate Brian Nelson for the loss of use of said property. It is hereby resolved that the Worth County Board of Supervisors do hereby approve the terms of the said amendment or termination of the hay lease on the following described property located in North County, which is the water tower property northwest of the casino. It is hereby further resolved that AJ Stone, as the chair of the Board of Supervisors, authorizes to enter into proposed contract or contracts to accomplish the same in the event that Worth County, Iowa sells such ground. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2024-14?
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, Lowberg,
Aye.
Smithy.
Aye.
Stone, aye. Resolution is adopted and I will enter into a hay lease pending sale of that property.
That's what it is.
Or I'll sign the leases, I guess. Give me the approval to sign it. Okay. On the resolution.
Oh,
2024-15 to fix a date for public hearing on proposal to enter into general obligation urban renewal loan agreement and to borrow money there.
we're starting over. We had started this process and it didn't. We got what it was supposed to, so we're starting again.
Yep.
So we're gonna have the, May 6th at the supervisor's room.
Yep.
If that works out for you. Let's say 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock here.
Yeah.
Let's. Public hearings for the date for the bond general obligation urban renewal loan agreement and to borrow money. All right, is there a motion to approve resolution 2024-15 on the public hearing?
I'll make that.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Lowberg, second by Smithy. Any discussion? Do a roll call vote once again. Lowberg,
Aye.
Smithy.
Aye.
Stone, aye. Resolution is adopted. The public hearing date is set.
Mhm.
Okay. Building and grounds, elevator maintenance improvement quote. You guys look at that?
Yeah,
Does it make sense? I don't.
I
You got an
think we
elevator, you
got-
got maintenance, what do you, I mean,
it's gotta be done.
Well. It sounds like we can let it ride,
But
but then, if it does happen, the real cost when it does happen, so I don't.
Cause it's a control board or something within that elevator that's no longer serviceable. If it fails, then we have to put in the upgraded model, right?
And we got a quote February of last year for 19,800, and now the quote's 20,790, so it's jumping $1,000 a year. I just happened to notice that from
Yeah.
an email.
Yeah. The longer we sit on it, the more it's gonna cost, right?
Well, it jumped almost 1,000,
Yeah.
just sitting on the heater.
So,
And the way I read it is the price of this upgrade is $20,790. And that if we sign a 5-year, which we've been doing all along, we get a $1,500 discount. But if we sign a 10-year, we get a $2,500 discount.
Yeah.
Plus we get a year's free maintenance on a 5 or not a year, but a month's free maintenance on a 5 and 2 months free maintenance on a 10. But I don't have any idea whether we should go to from a 5 to a 10-year contract for another $1,000. Is that the way you read it, Jackie?
the longer we go out, we get a little more of a.
Yeah. In other words, it says here, the discount with contract extension is $1,500 on with a 5-year contract extension and $2,500 with a 10-year. So
Yeah. I just, yeah,
Kind of
that's the way I read
printed
it
off the email.
Is that if we went out longer, we would just save a little bit more, but.
But as far as the board goes, we gotta get, if it goes down during the trial,
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, we do need.
That's not to say the new board can't go down during a trial too.
Right.
You know,
at least we tried then.
we tried, yeah. We fixed it the first time. Yeah, on that too, at that point. I mean, it's,
Right.
Well, and what's frustrating is you don't get to talk to anybody. She just sends these emails and you're just supposed to send an email back to Chicago and just,
it was down here a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yes, Brian sent out an email that said that elevator wasn't working, he got a hold of Otis, but I don't know what
he
happened.
came right away and.
Yeah, he just has fixed the next day or something. So that later that day. Yeah, I guess, I don't know, we wanna look at this a little more and. Decide,
What did it say in the email? It took them like 2-3 days to do it and. It's like. It's out like 2-3 weeks maybe. Order the part, was it?
Parts, yeah.
I can't remember what that was exactly, but
I wish you could talk to the repair guy,
yeah,
yeah. Cause he's probably supposed to sell the stuff too, but
right.
he'll at least tell you what's going on.
Mhm. We would do that, let's put the top.
you wanna try to contact that guy and.
I'll get a hold of this, we'll find out, you know, the technician. Bring
I
it.
could have got his name. He's the same guy that comes every time.
Right.
Right.
Well, I'm sure you find out, call this Page or Sage,
Say,
you know, and after,
yep, put it on the agenda for next week.
you know, let's take a. We'll reach out and talk with the technician and see.
They want us to change the phone too.
Oh,
Something about it's an analog line and they think it's.
Those are the ones that are gonna survive an
Yeah.
apocalypse.
So
Well, you know that's coming.
probably still pay for a phone line. I don't know how that works.
I suppose if we're all internet phone, maybe. Yeah, do we have a separate phone line?
yeah, just the brand ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just knock on the door, eventually they'll be able to hear you.
Mm.
All right, I'll ask. Just get in.
Thanks, Steve. I suppose somebody could get trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be,
Gotta take care of it.
be a reason to do the computer board, maybe.
Yeah.
And the next one we could do at the end of the meeting.
Okay, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, kind of our workshop version.
Mm.
Okay. We have an agreement. Everybody's happy with now, I think.
Okay.
Has everybody signed on their end?
Oh, God, Dan would have signed, but he didn't sign.
You got it before he left?
He brought it up.
You forgot to sign it.
Yeah, I wasn't around.
This is vacation mode.
Probably.
Which one?
All right, so this is agreement from 2024 through 2027. With Worth County, Iowa Sheriff's Office and Iowa AFS CME Council 61 Union Agreement. Lots of negotiations, we've got it figured out, everything's good. Is there a motion to approve the union agreement with the Sheriff's Office? Mark's motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, is there any other discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor, aye?
Alright.
Aye, opposed? Motion will carry. We're pretty well up to date on the water system project. I know this should be going up for bid, so. Melissa, Woodward Becko.
Sorry, just that our, board meeting is on Monday. Here at in Forest City at 11:30.
At the ambulance building, right?
Yep, and then I will be gone Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week in Ames
Oh, for the,
Summit.
yeah, Summit, that's it, rural Summit, okay. Sounds good, you guys got any questions for Melissa?
No.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
You bet.
EMS, we'll have more discussion on that next week, because we have our public hearings. People service, morning, gentlemen. Morning.
Does anybody have a copy of our?
We got an email, but
Our generator was running this morning, our computer was down. I guess, I brought some show and tell stuff. This is in the report, we had a flood. The main lift station at the wastewater treatment plant. Basically just, the PLC just went to put, no alarms. I mean, when the PLC dies, everything, all communication stops. So, when I got out there, the day of the incident, like 6:30 or whatever, we had a significant flood in the whole building, office, bathroom, blower room, MCC room. So we got a hold of, Quality Pump first, because we weren't sure what it was. And he came up and looked, Jason, came up, looked at it, and we determined it was a PLC issue. So we got a hold of, EP that we use for the other lift station. They were up the next day, with basically everything to repair it, except for the new PLC that they installed would not communicate with the card that was current. It was just outdated. So we had to wait a couple days, but we were able to. They also installed 2 new floats at that time, so we were running in float mode, at least as a backup in the meantime, so that we didn't have. So we did a couple days worth of, and the reason that we didn't contact anybody at that time, was basically Heath's call. I suggested that we call, and I wasn't sure whether that would be an insurance issue or not. But turns out we were able to mitigate all the issues, got all the raw sewage out, and everything disinfected and clean. And then we actually, we removed all the floor drain, drains or whatever, and put in plugs for now, until we knew for sure that everything was, fixed and operating as normal. So we haven't had any issues since then. I did talk to Young Plumbing about, possibility of some type of backflow preventer being put in those drains, so that we don't ever have this problem again. Because it was a mess. So, needless to say, that was not much fun, but it is what it is. So, otherwise, we have been, we're getting some stuff done out there that needs to get done. Water quality has been good. see, we had business sewer come out and do, I think that was maybe this month though, so it's hard to remember, but we did have business sewer come out and they hydrovac the channel in the headworks room, the main lift station, and also the backwash pit at the water plant had some buildup of silt with the fine sand. And that's an annual deal, right? Yep. The other thing that happened in the last month was we performed, Ziegler Cat performed their annual their inspections on the lift station generator south of the highway, and then the main generator at the wastewater treatment plant. And both of those were in good shape. We did do a load test on the lift station generator because there was we had been noticing some, what DNR calls emissions, basically smoke coming out of the stack. And DNR does not like to see that at all. So we did a load test, where basically they bring it up to 95 or 100% and make sure it's doing its thing. And it did have a lot of buildup, so it was due for a load test. We're waiting on some parts for the generator at the water treatment plant, for that generator. They're gonna do their annual inspection plus what's called an extended coolant life service again. There's been some hoses and various leaks, and so they just recommend that. They actually recommend that every 3 years, I believe, and it's been longer than 3. So, well, that's, I think, mostly everything last month. Obviously, you and I thought this is this month, but you and I talked about where the casino. I did give them your contact information. They have brought up in the meeting, so we had a meeting with the maintenance coordinator, I guess, or I'm not sure what his title is, but last Friday. And they have brought up a few concerns about water quality there, and also their plans to do some structural changes to the water tower, which I then referred them to you or the board. But the water treatment or the water quality issues, we are not sure if it's just their specific location issue, because we run water all the time at the waste treatment plant. There's always a thought, because that line's a dead end line, we can't get a chlorine residual unless we let water run. So we never see any rust in our water ever. And being that the system is as new as it is, I have a hard time believing that there's rust in the water. Plus, we do iron tests. Well, we were doing twice a week. The new permit only requires once a week. So and our iron residuals are very, very low. So they've made note to us that there's been some, what they call like pepper flakes in their water. And I don't know what that is yet. So we're gonna draw some samples and see if we can, not that we necessarily can do anything about it, but we're gonna try to be as accommodating as we can, as far as, you know, we don't, they have some ice machines. Apparently they're changing filters in once a month and they're just clogging. I don't have an answer for them right now, because the water quality that comes out of the plant is as good or better than any city water. So I don't know.
For some reason losing media and sending it in.
Well, yeah, right. I thought
Whether
that
it's from the softeners.
Yeah, I thought that too, possibly the big filters, because that's kind of a sandy black a little bit. But
Yeah, it's to go filtered and put it open, see what's in it.
no, not yet.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
When
And they do-
when they change their next set, see if we can
look
get
at
one of them.
And they do re-soften the water, which.
Yeah.
I don't understand exactly why that would be needed, because we're running soft water out of the
Mm,
plant. So, I don't know, we took some pictures and kind of took some notes and like I said, we're gonna take some samples this week. And see what we can figure out for the water quality stuff.
When you do that, if they are softening, take one before and after their softener, so you can see if it's us or them.
Right.
Because, you know, if their softeners are having issues, we wanna make sure that's on them, not on us. And if it's on our side, that's understandable, you know.
And I've mentioned rusty water, they've got a few sinks that. They say are occasional use, which I said, well, if you're occasionally using them. Could be, you know, if your pipes within the facility are iron. You could be picking up some iron in those pipes, but I said, we shouldn't be sending any rusty water to you, there shouldn't, you know, just.
Right.
But,
We kind of took care of that problem a few years ago when we added the manganate
right,
to,
right,
eliminate that, you know. And it's been quiet ever since, so that's, you know, that we thought. We've got it all figured out, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I guess if you're gonna do those samples, check both sides, and then when you talk to them again, see if we can have one of their filters next time. Cut apart to see what you guys can see inside of it, on what it is. I know ice machines are very, very fuzzy,
mm,
and. I don't know if that's more than normal service to them that they are accustomed to, but.
right.
Or not, but I know they are fussy.
And they've got some calcium buildup various places where they use heat. Like their steam ovens and their their sanitation stations, they've got some calcium, like. You know, I'm familiar with boilers. When you run. Your water needs to be super pure going into the boiler, or you will get calcium. Not softening is not enough. So I suggested, or at least one of the thoughts that I had was, well, if they wanted to pay for an RO, then that should take care of all the problem. They said that that was something that they were considering. Obviously, that'll be a discussion with you guys. But
Yeah,
we'll just see.
So on the water tower, they wanna put a different sign on that.
That's what it sounds. They want to clean it, I think, and then they want to mount another sign.
Okay. It's a discussion we need to have with them, because we do own it,
Right,
and if whatever they're putting on, we wanna make sure it's structurally proper, so.
right.
Even though we're gonna switch water towers, that's still gonna be our backup plan.
Yeah,
Because part of that process is we're gonna get that inside cleaned and recoated, so that it's available to use if we need to.
yeah,
And as far as the outside, yeah, if they wanna paint it, and that's a benefit to us, but we still need to have that discussion to make sure whatever they're hanging on there is not gonna structurally affect that tower.
right. And that's basically exactly what I told them. I just said, the board would like you to not move forward until you have a discussion with them.
Well,
because
and
the county-
Yeah, and there just should be something, some sort of agreement on paper.
Yeah.
So that liability is not on us because it's not our sign.
Right.
And it's on them and whoever the manufacturer of the tower or a structural engineer. Will sign off on it.
Right.
And kind of keep us free and clear of any issues, so. That lift station, is that? So the PLC went down. Aren't the floats supposed to be the backup plan for that?
They are, but the way that the system is set up, the floats in that lift station do not run into our, what would be called like our SCADA, our Allen Bradley system inside the plant. They're not wired to that. So when the PLC went down, even the float backups went down. So the way that when we rewired it with the new floats to go to, so we will have a float backup no matter what. That's what we ended up doing.
Why wasn't that before? I know you guys are new, it's
I
probably
don't know
before
if
you,
it-
but.
I mean, the wire wasn't even pulled for it, so I'm assuming it's been that way all the time.
Right.
And maybe that's just design oversight, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
Cause our resiliency and avoiding stuff like this is backup upon backup.
Yeah.
If you can even get a third route, you do it.
Right.
But when our backup plan is up to our primary plan, that doesn't work as a backup plan anymore.
Exactly.
All right, like I said, I know it's right before you guys and it could have been in the design, and I don't remember if stuff was changed out there. Since it's been built, I don't believe so. I think it's all pretty much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that may have been an oversight on the engineering firm that signed off on the.
Well, sometimes
Bill,
that's how you get cooks in the kitchen and
Mhm.
that's how it works.
But it is changed now.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only other thing that I have, that I think I have is the air handling unit. Was supposed to be in to North Central Mechanical last week, but I think it's been weather related as far as getting a whole, I mean, the winds are, to get a crane out there and get that thing up there. We're gonna have to wait for a little less wind.
They wrong time of year for that.
Yeah,
But. If they've got the stuff and they're ready, hopefully they can scramble and get in there and get it done, so.
you
That
got
it?
anything?
Yeah. You guys got any questions? Or if the casino just wants to buy it?
What's that?
Or if the
Yeah.
casino just wants to buy all that stuff?
I don't really.
Making a hell of a deal. Well, thank you guys, and, yeah, just, I'll wait to hear from whoever out the casino on the water tower stuff, and obviously I'll keep you guys, we'll be in touch on that. And then as far as our project goes now, that's going out for bid, so once we get that process done and get a timeline on construction or whoever it's gonna be, you guys will obviously be in the loop on that as well, so that contractors will, I'm sure be reaching out to you.
This is the guy that should be contacting. You can keep them.
Okay.
But he's the new, I guess he's been there since November.
Okay.
Seems like he's kind of just getting his feet wet right now. Sure. But, yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you guys need anything from us, hesitate to holler.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
They said water and wastewater was cheap.
Hmm.
All right, budget up. We're gonna get it to you. Budget update discussion. I think we saw the final email come through. We're where we are for now, and next year's a whole new ballgame, right?
Yeah, it is what it is.
Looks like to me.
Um,
I did what I could with what we had.
we did all. A lot of other counties in tougher situations. than
Yes,
we
there
so
are.
They're not very far away.
Nope.
I don't have casinos.
Yeah. Probably one thing keeping us in a decent spot. but- Anything else you guys got budget wise? We got our hearings coming up. Here after a while, so. Department head discussion. Anyone there? Dan's on vacation, I will. If you guys haven't heard, Sarah Gordo completely pulled everything off the table. I will not be in agreement with
I
them.
didn't hear that.
So Dan and Jesse and Rick went to Forest City, Winnebago County on Thursday. That's not an option. So they're going to Mitchell County, which sounds like he is really in favor of it, but we also thought Saragordo was too, so. We may or may not be going an alternative direction, which may or may not really affect our sheriff's budget, so. I guess we, play this one by ear and see what happens, but Dan's on vacation, so once he gets back, we'll be, more conversations with Mitchell County, so.
Did Sarah Gora say why they were?
Well, at first there was just discussion of raising the rates, which we were okay with. We would just raise our rates, follow suit, and pass the cost along. And then there was just discussion of if the capacity, which they have plenty of capacity, but then there was also new sheriffs coming in. So that and insurance. Wow. So that kind of changed a couple supervisors' minds and they decided to just take it straight off the table and.
I don't understand insurance at all.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And they could have that many people in. I mean, it's just gonna be more money.
Their
for them.
numbers are down. So yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna actually generate income off this.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
And it's the same with Winnebago, you know, they're gonna generate income off this. But. It's not an option now, cause they're worried that if. They. You know, they have a whatever 40 person facility or whatever it is. That if they lose an employee, what would happen? Well, is our 2 or 3 inmates a day gonna really affect? You know, your staffing, it's not like we're adding 25% to you, we're adding,
Give them the ability to keep that employee there.
it's somebody else is helping.
Yeah.
Pay for your staff, but,
Why not at least try for a while?
you know,
I mean,
so. Anyways, that's what we're,
Plan C.
I know that's what Dan would have probably discussed with you guys if he was here, so. Plan C.
Just keep plugging ahead, see what happens.
yeah, I heard he already told his staff. too.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, they had a date of like October, because it was all ago, and then all of a sudden. That fast, so. Anywho, any other department heads? Okay. Supervisor weekly, yes,
Nothing as far as the board went.
Mark?
Think I had anything last week. No,
Sweet boom. I did have a meeting with, John Lear. Heartland Power, Mark Tomo, WPTA, Dave Box, Heartland Power, Brooke Bemler, SBDC, and Melissa, and then Beth from Forest City. Just trying to promote and do something, get lots going out there. What can we do? What's the best option? So we just kind of trying to meet every couple months and just try to keep something going, keep the momentum going. What can we try next, you know? So pretty good meeting where there's a discussion of possible spec building maybe. I know there's Heartland and WCTA have some loan options, low or no interest loan options for people, so I think they've got a couple people in mind to talk to see about doing some sort of agreement on spec building of a 3 or 4 bay retail.
Yep.
Out there, so hopefully somebody that they've been talking with will maybe bite on that, but we'll kind of see how that goes, so. And then, Rich and I met with DOT, Mike with the DOT on, the interchange, future traffic out at the interchange and what we need to think about and look into if that starts to develop, how are we still gonna be able to coordinate traffic out there?
anything but a roundabout.
You know.
The one place
Word
that
came up, but you know, with what's going on out there with the development north of the casino with the trucking and up there. And
Ruglands are up there, we're gonna have with fertilizer, there gonna be more trucks up there.
Right.
and then potential other things. It's almost like, we did a traffic study. A couple years ago.
Yep.
Not a few years ago. But now that the site's laid out with a road in it and everything else, now it's like, okay, so what potentially comes in here and what kind of traffic are we looking at trying to come out, and then trying to get the DOT on board with any sort of modifications, because they've got their requirements for being that close to the on-off ramps about, you know, access. So it's almost like, I don't want to, you know, we added a lane going north for the casino. I guess the thought that we were talking about is we don't want to piecemeal another thing there and then
Right.
in another 10 years just redo everything. So it's almost kind of like, what is a good layout for the whole intersection that can take future development? Right now, the way the stoplights are set up, it works really well with 4-way stop. anything future down in the development might change the setup of how the intersection works if we can get things passed. 'Cause I think the discussion was we don't want to hinder any new development, but yet we still gotta keep the public safe and then,
Well, traffic decent,
you know,
and I know Mike was gonna check with their safety and traffic people too, and just get some ideas of what.
they've got the experience with this type of intersection stuff before, and they've got a lot more resources down and look at things that this might work, or
And they got kind of a just feasibility, kind of just discussion of if something more of this traffic comes around, if something larger does come into that development, how are we gonna maintain flows, keep everybody moving safely? We've already dropped speed limits out there. Once people are obeying it, we may have to drop it even more.
well, and with the stoplight where it's at, you know. Speed shouldn't really be too big of an issue.
Right.
With people leaving the intersection, you're not hammered down, you don't have that far to go before you get to an interchange or the on-off ramp or whatever, so. But you do wanna kind of control that a little bit. I think there's possibilities out there, it's just a matter of what's the right fit for what we're gonna do out there. So,
Yeah, just a little discussion on that of future of what may or may not happen and how we're gonna keep it moving and. So, other than that, that's all I have. Mistakes. So next week we got our hearings on EMS. Anything else gonna come forward that anybody knows of? Are we winding down with all of our busy season a little bit? I don't know if that goes on there. May 6th will be our new one, that's about it, right? Okay. Is that it? All right, yes, we have separate meetings set up for later, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So I second it.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everybody.